profession of the lawyers here. And I guess they felt obligated to have a lawyer out here because there was a lawsuit and things like that, although Steve didn't mention it. I think you can have a sense of what the lexicon looks like, etc. What happened Halloween, actually, it was ironic, Halloween day. Mr. Rappaport and RDR Books was sued because, although Steve didn't mention it very much, there was a plan, as many of you may know, to publish a portion of the lexicon website into book form. Those of us who are readers, I've read the books, and I think you can see that there might be an attraction to having an actual physical book with some of the data, just as a pure encyclopedia. You know, of course, would have all the links and that sort of thing, but it would still be part of that. I think the count I heard was that it's roughly 1,000 pages. Is that still somewhat accurate? The book that they were looking at publishing was about 300 pages. So a fairly small portion of everything you started to walk through a little bit. For some reason, as the word that the book was coming leaked out, and we're still not sure why, Rowling herself, Warner Brothers, part of the DVDs, etc., really kind of came full gun and tried to stop the book from being published. They asserted that the book would be a threat to Rowling, would be a threat to her publishing arm, etc. If you can get a sense of what the website looks like, you know, that's been in existence since the year 2000. There was never a word about the website being a threat to anything. That's probably more complex than anything else that the book could ever be. Yet having this actual book published, for some reason, raised some red flags there. So just to give you a quick rundown on some of the very exciting issues for us lawyers, and for some of you just trying to stay awake and hopefully get to ask Steve a few questions. There are a few interesting things. One is they sued the book company, obviously based in Muskegon, Michigan. It was a New York published. It was a New York law firm. They sued in New York, etc. Really had an opening barrage, so to speak. I think to really just try to scare and intimidate everybody into instantly dropping the book. The legal issues are kind of interesting, at least for some of us. The main one being, if this site operated since the year 2000 and nobody seemed to care, how can we suddenly care about the book? You know, there's a waiver issue there. That's existed for so long. One of the things Steve didn't say a lot of, but he's been on most of the movie sets. They've asked him to be there just as the encyclopedia reference. As we've found out, when Rowling is writing her book, she will occasionally have the lexicon open because she loses track through all of this stuff. I think if you've got 20 people trying to keep the lexicon site, it's no surprise that the person creating it in the first place may not be able to always keep track of everything. The other piece is there is an exception to the copyright law called fair use. The concept has always been that if you put a work of fiction out there, there are exceptions to copyright so long as you tell everybody what you're working with. You clearly cross a line the minute you start to write your own Harry Potter stories and then call yourself Rowling or J.R. Rowling or something like that and try to publish those. I think everybody understands that that's gone too far. In this case, as you can see, it would be pretty hard to ever look at this and not have that attributed back to Harry Potter and the universe of J.K. Rowling. So there's this fair use issue of this is a reference work, essentially. It's a very sophisticated reference work. It's a 21st century reference work because of the internet piece. The law, frankly, is not sure how to handle that yet, which is one of the real interesting parts here. What do you do if you take a website that's been publishing for 7 years or so and distill that down into a very small book? Suddenly the distilling it down into a very small book seemed to upset a lot of people. There's a bigger question here. If the website was okay, why is the book not okay? And number two, this is still just reference work. As you read through I've looked at a rough draft of the book. It's very similar to some of the words here. It's clear where the books are referenced, that it's Rowling's work, etc. There's not infringement necessarily taking place. So it's interesting. There's a lot of settlement talks going on. They would, of course, sue to try to prevent the publication of the book. What will happen, I don't know. As we've often joked, if you'd rather not wait for the book to be published, go see the expanded version tonight. You know, there's 1,000-some pages you can spend hours and hours doing. So I could probably talk a lot longer than any of you want to listen. I'm happy for questions. Those of you who want to know more about fair use, I've got all the elements, all that exciting lawyer stuff. But otherwise, I think we're going to pause and have questions.
Yes, let's have